Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Welcome again, St. Lucia, to the program Agriculture on the Move. My name is Phillip Sydney. Today we're discussing bananas. And with me is Mr. Nicholas Faisal, who is a farmer, he is an exporter, he's an entrepreneur. Mr. Faisal, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Mr. Faisal, I know you for a very long time. Your heart and soul is in agriculture. Just give the St. Lucia a little background of your stint in agriculture.
Okay, I came into agriculture actually in 1979 after graduating from the Castries Comprehensive School. Although I didn't go to Union, the agricultural college, but then from a background in geography, I had an interest in agriculture. And so I started off with the Banana Development Program, which was an activity geared at rejuvenating the banana industry and taking it into the direction that it probably is now in and has grown into, rather. So I started off as a young extension officer, and from that experience, I took on a job as assistant manager at Fond Estate at the time, which was maybe the largest commercial farm in the Windwards, producing a significant volume of bananas into the UK, especially we were designated Waitrose farmers at the time.
Okay.
After having left there, I joined the SLBGA, where I joined the extension department, but also in fruit quality and the reception. So I eventually became the reception manager at some point. And later on, when the Dennery Farm Company was went into liquidation, the SLBGA under Patrick Joseph undertook the responsibility of acquiring or taking control of production at what was Dennery Farm Company and now Ranju Farms.
Right.
So I was the manager of Ranju Farms for 5 years, where we managed there about 150 acres of land, and where we produced bananas, significant volumes of bananas as well. And following that, I returned to the SLBGA as the operations manager for a short while, after which I left for the UK, where I did a master's in business admin, basically leveraging on my wealth of experience over the years. And upon returning, I joined the St. Lucia National Fair Trade Organization, because at the time in the UK, my dissertation was on fair trade, leveraging fair trade as a brand, and because market penetration was becoming difficult, and it seemed as if we had to differentiate. And bananas, you cannot differentiate significantly. A banana from Latin America has the same shape as a banana from the Windwards, although we claim to have had our fruit to have had better taste, and the British housewife preferred it. But there was a new movement emerging in the UK where the ethical consumer, and so it appealed, the ethical consumer was appealing to the fair trade concept, that the people who were part of the fair trade movement in the Windwards were small farmers, genuinely struggling, producing bananas under healthier conditions than those produced in Latin America, because we understood there were lots of chemical usage and all of that. So it seemed as if leveraging fair trade to create market penetration for Windward Island bananas seemed to have been a way to go. Okay. So at the time, no sooner the Windward Islands went 100% fair trade, which differentiated their product in the marketplace. Having left fair trade at the time, I took on the job as the managing director of the National Housing Corporation, and a job that I held for 4 years. And having left there, I then decided to open up my own. I always had a farm. From 1988, I had a banana farm. But having left National Housing, I then decided that I would make farming the commercial understanding of it. But more than that, I would go beyond that to create a market, because I understood marketing was always what would influence production in agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
And so I managed to kind of nudge an entry into the regional market from 2012, where I am. I've been supplying 2 companies in Barbados since then.
Okay. So what drove you? I know it's market-led. Production is market-led.
Yeah.
But you know, production at the time up to now was still UK driven. But we knew there was a market regionally. How that market was supposed to be tapped, I think, you know, how were you able to get into that market, and give us that experience?
Okay, it was sheer coincidence. That market existed. I must admit, people like Curtis Fontenelle were the ones who, way back, maybe over the last 15 or 20 years, he was the one who, and Brown, a gentleman in the Bexon area, who started off this whole, Erasmus Alfred was involved in that as well. So they were all involved in the regional trade. But then it was understood at the time as the black market business.
Yes.
And it was really a situation where farmers presented their fruit for the UK at the reception points. And when those bananas were rejected, not acceptable, then they would then dispose of it, because it was a way of recovering at least your production costs and packaging costs. So you sell the bananas to people like Brown and Curtis, who would be operating around the ports. And so that's how the business all started up. But over the years, the banana industry itself had evolved, and certification and Europe gap, the issue of market entry into Europe, became a big issue. So our protection we heard of protection for the EU that would end in 1992. But since then, the open competition created its share of problems for our farmers.
Yes.
And we saw certification changing the dynamics on the ground as far as how farmers perceive the industry, and how receptive they would be to make the necessary adjustments that the industry was demanding of them. That if you needed to, you had to pay attention to how the practices on the farm, and not so much the farmer's ability to plant bananas and take care of bananas, but more than anything else, the issues of traceability featured, the use of chemicals, the use of record keeping.
It became more high-tech.
Yes, the use of chemicals as far as packaging of fruit, having to use potable water and not just water from a drum at the back of a shed. You know, it changed the dynamics on the ground, and so a lot of farmers saw those challenges as, in some cases, maybe beyond them, and could not always respond to what it was. And more so, we then saw a quota system restricting the farmer ability to sell all of his fruit, what he perceived to have been his marketable fruit to the UK market. And the issue of production forecasting came up again, and farmers now having to determine or give in advance what the expected output would be. And in some cases, when you couldn't measure up, then you would be taken to task because of the fact that you were expected to give as accurate enough information on what production you're expecting to.
Data field collection was crucial.
And so it was a rude awakening for a lot of our farmers. Mind you, the banana industry, for years now, I mean, I joined Fond Estate.
Hold that thought, we're just going to our first break. Right? You're watching Agriculture on the Move. We're discussing bananas. Due for a break? Stay tuned.
Messieurs et dames, Mamay Saint-Lucie, tant ça. Est-ce que savent l'année chimique agricole avec l'autre chimique nous a servi en caille, qu'a échoué en pays sans registrer, et que ça peut affecter santé publique là. Généralement, l'année y a un comité en place qui a responsabilité pour registrer, contrôler et bailler permission pour toute chimique qui a entré en Saint-Lucie. Pour importer ces chimiques là, faire une application pour joindre une licence. Pour plus d'informations, contactez Office Research en Lyon, en ministre agricole, numéro téléphone 468-5600 et bien 468-5600D. Messieurs, pas mener pièces vieilles chimiques qui pas registrées pour dommager santé PPIA souple. Information ça a sorti par ministre agricole.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. Mr. Faisal, the banana industry over the years, I mean, if you look at, the whole cycle, the metamorphosis of the banana industry. I remember as a youngster, bananas used to be shipped, the whole bunch, surrounded that bunch with dry leaves. And if you look at what's happening today, I mean, the industry have changed dramatically. And that, I think, has caused a lot the frustration among small farmers to just stick aside. And I think that's where I suppose you come in, looking at assisting those farmers who the technology is not new to them per se. The basic agronomic practices of banana production it's not new, but it's the other little things, the record keeping and the other things coming that's troubling for them.
Yeah. Well, you see, we understand that bananas is market driven.
Yes.
And more so, the sophistication of the UK market and the competition that exists at that level forces the producer to respond to what the market demands as far as how it plays out in the marketplace. And so that evolution where we saw from that era coming to now, it's really the transitions that has impacted the farmer. His ability to respond to the calls that the market is demanding.
That's right.
And to an extent, you would appreciate our farmers are generally subsistent, have a subsistent farming approach. And over the years, it has been difficult for a lot of farmers, mind you, have transitioned. A lot of maybe those who understand the game, understand the direction, have kind of decided that they don't want to stay in a particular mindset, they transition. But there are lots of people who probably cannot for a whole range of reasons. And as such, these people would find themselves falling through the cracks.
Yes.
We've seen the banana industry move from the 1992 era of maybe 8,000 farmers to what exists now. I mean, I don't know, we have more than maybe 800 to 1,000 active banana farmers. And of that number, we probably have about 300 who are trading with the UK.
Yes. Yeah.
And a substantial percentage of the rest of the farmers are just either trading their fruit to the local supermarket. Incidentally, we've seen a significant rise in the intake of bananas in the supermarkets.
Both ripe and green.
That's right. At the hotels as well. So a lot of those farmers they're producing for those markets. But what we see happening is that in the rural communities, there are significant numbers of farmers who cannot transition or be retooled into being security officers or go and work at hotels. And they have a responsibility to provide for themselves and their families. So to an extent, the regional trade is no longer, would have itself transitioned not from the black market understanding of it as existed in those years, but it's really, it has evolved into what is a business. Because we have seen the regional market developing some level of sophistication as well. And with bananas as being an important staple in the health conscious era that we're in, bananas, people, I mean, with internet and the information being available on its use, you see a whole new generation of people embracing bananas as an important food group in their diet. And so we see Trinidad, Barbados in particular, and Antigua now to a lesser extent, beginning to demand volumes of bananas, and you have quality. So you have Chiquita, and you have the supplies in Dominican Republic and Belize and even Suriname maybe. They have tapped into those markets. But there are times when there are quality issues as well. So we in the Windward Islands, realizing that a significant of farmers are just there and they're knocking at your door, they want to dispose of their fruit. We've found that the regional trade in its current arrangement has provided an important outlet to facilitate our farmers who cannot participate in the UK trade, but want to remain in the production of bananas. They have the land, they have the know-how, and they don't wish to go out there and find new means or new forms of employment.
And they have to feed the family.
Yeah, but to remain in what they know. Their competence, that's their core competence.
Exactly.
You know, and so they wish to remain in that area and do what they do best. In the process though, we see standards emerging.
Yes.
Because the biggest fear in the black market mindset is that any and everything goes.
Yes.
And when the consumer, when you understand whether in whatever product you buy as a consumer, you expect quality.
Of course.
Because it's an exchange. You paid money for a product and you want it to be at a particular level. So this is what we within the regional trade now have to grapple with. But I don't think it is so difficult because our farmers have gotten the exposure of what the UK market demands.
That's right.
And it's true, the other dimension of the market entry is the record keeping, the issue of traceability and certification, which maybe some of them cannot measure up to.
That's right.
But certainly, they can produce quality bananas.
Of course they can do that.
And so it is against this background that the regional trade will continue to exist and hopefully thrive.
Okay. So you have formed a company. What's the name of your company?
The name of my company is Canel Farms.
Great. Okay. And so right now, take us through that now. How does it operate?
Okay. Well, it's like the average banana company, only that I believe that our farmers have grown accustomed to a particular standard where you have a reception point where farmers bring their bananas and it's inspected, checked, and they get the necessary receipt to say that they've sold so many boxes. So we operate at, our base is down at Chumase, what used to be the old banana boxing plant.
Okay.
There, farmers deliver the bananas on Tuesdays, where the inspection and weight check-in, the regular checks and balances are in place. So that, because at the other end, when you sell to a customer in Barbados, for example, in my case, if the boxes don't measure up to the minimum box weight, I am charged.
Yes.
If the quality doesn't measure up, I'm also a quality charge is leveled against me. So in a sense, the standards must be upheld. And so for that reason, we have to do all of what is necessary to ensure that the longevity of the business exists, the relationship with the customer at the other end is important. And so for him at the other end too, the supermarkets, the hotels, and even the cruise ships who purchase bananas through our suppliers in Barbados expect the quality that the industry demands.
But do you find any of farmers trying the shortcut and trying to put in stones and
no.
Because
I think
you remember
I think in fairness to the farmer, given what he understands to be the industry, he believes his own reputation is at stake.
At this point,
and he prides himself in being able to tell you need to see the product that I'm giving you.
Great.
And I think it's good that you have a dialogue with the farmer, that he just goes beyond just the banana he produces is what represents him as a producer.
Yes.
And so we've moved away. If it's one mindset that we've moved away from, is the one where you try to wriggle your way and bluff the
Bluff
system.
system.
Because each farmer has a code.
Definitely, so you can monitor it.
Yes, each
Okay.
farmer. So when the quality results come out of Barbados, I get the codes
code, okay,
as
very
to which
good.
farmer, who are the farmers who are defaulting.
Oh, okay.
And so I could crack
Hold
down.
that point again, we're
Yeah.
moving fast and furious.
Yeah.
We are due for a banana break. Go and get a shake. Back soon.
What is biodiversity?
When you look at biodiversity, it's all around.
I think of biological and I think of diversity.
What is biosafety?
Safety measures for our foods, our products, etc.
Biodiversity is the variety of life. Biosafety, on the other hand, involves the management of products of biotechnology, such as GMOs and LMOs. Biosafety seeks to protect St. Lucia's biodiversity. The terms biodiversity and biosafety are not interchangeable. Get familiar with these terms. Observe the biodiversity around you, the changing environment of food production and sustainable growth. Do your part. Visit our websites and stay tuned to this station for more information on the National Biosafety Framework.
Welcome back to the program. I am with me is Mr. Nicholas Faisal, who is an exporter, he's farmer, he's an entrepreneur. And of course, I hope you had your banana break and you had a shake, and so we can continue talking bananas. Mr. Faisal, your company definitely depends on quality, and I'm sure that you're going through the system and ensuring and speaking to the farmers to ensure that the quality of the produce is maintained to the level that you want for your consumers out there. So take us through the process in terms of your selection process, your packaging process, and your transportation process, and the quantities that is required on a weekly basis
Yes.
to your consumers.
Yes. Importantly, over the years, maybe as far back as 2014, what we've seen emerging is that production to the UK seemed to be on a slide, and that's because of for a whole range of reasons. Black Cigar Toka challenges has presented serious challenges to our farmers, and in fairness, thankfully the Taiwanese support has provided, that has created a significant impact in the industry, in the sense that the farmer's ability to purchase oil to control Black Cigar Toka has been a challenge as well.
Yes.
But what we've seen is production. We also had a situation with the weather. We've had very unpredictable extended dry spells, and even when we've had good weather, we've had floods or storms otherwise that has caused damage to the production base. So what we see happening is for the UK supply, for example, maybe in 2014 it was 9,500 tons. In 2015 we saw it going down to almost 8.5. And in 2016, we see it going up to 7.5.
Wow.
But what has happened correspondingly is we've seen increases in the regional trade to offset that progression we see in the reduction to UK trade.
market,
We've seen a similar pattern emerging in the regional trade. And there are times when more than 50% of the fruit produced on island goes to the region.
Wow.
Yes, so the region is providing or has provided a significant market for our bananas out of St. Lucia and Windward Islands as well, because St. Vincent and Dominica, they're also supplying Trinidad and Barbados with bananas and other root crops as well. So, but for quality, going back to the question of quality and the inspection system, you find from my perspective, having had a background in extension and in management, I believe that I can offer a quality of service to give support to my farmers or the farmers who trade with me. Quite apart from just receiving their fruit and turning your back on them, I think I equally have a responsibility in the relationship to ensure that the Black Cigar Toka is under control and to ensure that they understand what the market quality requirements are. And so I've often told them, the sooner we measure up to what is expected of us, the less challenges or the less difficulty our relationship will be. We will be able to flow and appreciate exactly even issues of price. We can lobby and negotiate better price.
That's right.
I mean, the regional market, the price paid, I mean, always, you would always prefer to have a better price. But we can manage with the price we get.
Okay.
The quality, I think our farmers have understood it, and that's from the standpoint of the farmers who trade with me. Or because of the standards that we've set, I think all of our farmers are complying with that requirement. There are some issues for us. After we purchase the fruit from farmers and we stack it in the warehouse, it's transported on the following day.
Okay.
We use a flatbed, the 24 pallet truck that brings it across to the Vieux-Fort ports. There's a schooner, a small vessel that takes the bananas to Barbados. It carries on an average 3,500 boxes. This is what
That's on a weekly basis?
On a weekly basis.
Wow.
Every Wednesday. Today, coincidentally, is our shipping day.
Okay.
And we ship bananas and plantains and now dry coconuts.
Mm-hmm.
We're also looking into the supplying of passion fruits as well.
Good. How many farmers do you deal with?
I have trading with me about 160 farmers. Yes, and from time to time, when our production is down, we take on other farmers who apply to sell with me. One critical area, and that has been a sore point in the local trade, in the regional trade, is that there is a tendency for farmers to complain about payments. And because I'm probably the last person to enter in the regional trade business, I have decided that I will differentiate my product on price.
Yeah.
And price meaning how regular you pay and consistently. So that I don't want farmers to be looking for me for their money when their money is due to them.
Great.
Rightfully so, they've worked for their bananas, they've produced it, they've sold it to me, I've sold it to the customer. It's time for them to be compensated.
So you pay them every week?
Every week. We pay every week.
Very good, very good.
There's a 1 week lag, but we pay, every farmer has a bank account and the monies are paid to his account directly.
So there's no problem?
No farmer comes, unless there was some error in the account number or something of that sort. Farmers get paid promptly every week on their bank account.
We're coming to the end of the program. We have only half a minute left. Any final words from you?
Yeah, there's so many. But one thing I would like to say is the area of the packaging. We have serious problems with our packaging. Winera produces the packaging. But whereas for the UK trade, there are concessionary prices on the packaging to the farmer or to the company, for the regional farmers or the regional companies, we have to pay it at the market price.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate, but if there was some relief that could have been provided to those farmers, to those people like me, who I buy boxes from Winera.
Okay.
I mean, for me, the farmer in the fair trade arrangement probably pays $5.45. But for me, in the regional trade, I have to pay in excess of $6, maybe $6.10, which is a significantly larger amount when you look at the production throughput.
Yes.
Because weekly, I supply Barbados with 1,500 boxes.
Okay.
Well,
Mr. Faisal, I think we have to end it here. I know you have so much. I hope I'll bring you back again because I think there's a lot more that farmers out there need to know because there is a market for bananas, and there will always be a market for bananas locally, regionally, and internationally.
Yes.
So I really want to thank you,
said.
and I'm hoping that you get more farmers on board and you diversify.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, the passion fruit and the other crops for the regional market.
Yes.
I want to thank you again. Okay?
Thank you for having me.
You have been watching Agriculture on the Move, and with me was Mr. Nicholas Faisal, who is an entrepreneur, exporter for bananas and other crops, agricultural produce. So we want to thank you for viewing. Coming again next week for another program, Agriculture on the Move. And remember to eat fresh, St. Lucia's best. Make a shake, a banana shake, and eat a banana a day that will keep the doctor away. Thank you for viewing. I'm Phillip Sydney saying goodbye and see you again. Thank you again, Mr. Faisal.
Thank you.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.